for our nation's democracy and our quest to have a better, transparent, and working electoral process. The president has, hit hard at the desire of Nigerians to have a better electoral law. First of all, I must say this, that this action of the president is shameful. Why do I say it's shameful? Here you have a man, for over a period of 10 years, an APP in AMPP was advocating for an enhanced electoral process, was campaigning and saying the first thing he would do as a president is to amend the Electoral Act and make our election more transparent. Now, the man has been given a chance as president and commander-in-chief with overwhelming majority in the parliament with his party. The first Electoral Act was tabled before the amendment. The president chickened out and refused to sign it. And this is a president that benefited from the decision of the last administration led by President Goodluck Jonathan to amend the Electoral Act. If Jonathan had not amended that Electoral Act and made our electoral process a little bit transparent and electronic, Buhari has won the election. No way. And this man did it because he loves the country. Now you have a man who says he loves the country better, being the president, and Buhari cannot give Nigerian people a clean Electoral Act since almost getting to 7 years now. This is very painful. This is very discouraging, and this clearly shows what we have been saying, that the president have no right to give the country an electoral law that is better, because him and his party wants to rig their way to power again in 2023. Come to think about it. Last one, you cited clerical errors that amended. You said some of the raised issue of ECOWAS treaty, and I have raised the same issue. I said, by the virtue of the provisions of the ECOWAS treaty, which is the alarm I raised some weeks ago, that the president have no plan to sign this. So people say, I'm just raising force. And I said, no, he doesn't want to sign it. Leave this argument of direct or indirect primary. This is secondary to the issues contained in the Electoral Act. What president is doing to Nigeria is not fair at all. Now, we raised the issue of the ECOWAS treaty and all this, that will be the final reason they will give. And we're going to it now. Now they have refused to sign the law. Talking about January now, parliamentarians are going to look at it. And the protocol says 6 months to general election, nation states cannot amend the Electoral Act. That is the plan they have, that when it gets to that point, they will tell Nigerians that they cannot be able to sign the law into law, the act into law, because it's very close to election. But the painful part of it is that we have a president that has failed to ensure that the country have a good electoral law. But again, we have a parliament also that, as long as I'm concerned, we in the opposition have doubts about the capacity of the present leadership of the National Assembly to veto the president. But like we said before, the issue of direct or indirect primary, if that will be the reason why the president does not want us to have electoral act, expunge these issues of direct and indirect. Are you getting me? Transmit the remaining one to him. Let's see how he will run away. And if parliament are very responsive to their responsibility, there is no need even going on recess. You just need one sitting or two. Then you concur and then remove that issue. You can come back to debate on the legality of the direct and indirect. And then you give him to sign. Because the reason what the president is running away from is not direct or indirect. Whether the argument is that it's expensive or not expensive, that is not even the argument of we're not even interested in that argument. Whether you do direct or indirect, both of them have the same advantage and the same disadvantages as long as we are concerned. Our focus is on the electronic advantages that have been built into the act. And President Muhammad Buhari does not want to sign the law, not because of direct or indirect, but because the president is scared that if you do electronic transitional result from the world, his party will lose. And if there's one thing that scares him is about PDP coming back to power. So as long as I'm concerned, let the lawmakers, if they want to veto, they can veto. But we are not interested in that because we feel the present House leadership lacks the ball to veto the president. But if they veto, in that case, magic has happened. Because the people that we know are people who can pass the budget in the bedroom for the president. But having said that, the most important is that whether you will veto or you will not veto, reconvene the House, expunge those contentious sides, send it back to the president so that the laws, this act can be signed into law and be able to be used for the electoral process that are coming up starting from January. That is our own position on this.
But the Electoral Act, yes, it declined signing it, but yet, even in the opposition, opinions are divided. Of course, some governors of the PDP have actually said the president has done the right thing by not signing, because they felt that either direct or indirect, it should be the prerogative of the parties. So it is either here or there. Don't you think the president is actually acting according to the voice and the yearnings of Nigeria? Because of course, even the opposition parties, some are saying it's a good step in the right direction. So it is not that everybody is against it. Even people in the opposition party actually thank the president for stopping it. Don't you think the president have done well for the system by listening to all the arguments put forward not to sign it?
Like I said before, There are people who, because of their 2023 political interest, both in the PDP, both in the APC, who wanted the direct primary, thinking that they will use it and do Gulag, the one that Hope Uzodinma did in Imo. And there are people who believe that if they have the delegate system, they can buy their way through. Now, those people, you can find them both in opposition and in the ruling government. And they raise their selfish interests above the gain that we have gotten from signing the Electoral Act. Like I said before, if you feel the direct or indirect is contentious, what I would have expected both from the president and those in opposition and the ruling government who have issues with is let us put it aside and then let the lawmakers represent the bill as it is back to the president, removing the issue of direct or indirect primary. We can come back to that argument. But what I'm saying is that let us not allow an argument, I get me, because this same president that is saying it will be cost expensive was the same direct primary that was used for his election in 2019. Was it not how he scored over 4 million or thereabout in Kano, which you know is not an actual vote? Is it not the same APC government that used it in Imo, where Gulak wrote the result inside the sitting plane and gave the governor of Imo? Is it not what they use in Edo? Is it not what they use in Tinubu used to chase Ambode out in Lagos? So they have been even practicing some part of it. But this argument, like I said, they are making this argument because of the interest of some individuals, both in ruling government and in opposition government. But what I said in the fact that this law denies us, not signing this law denies us an opportunity to have an enhanced electoral law that will guide us to election in 2023. And I said, okay, keep it aside like the president have raised. If the president is honest, urge the parliament, he should have included in that letter, parliament should reconvene immediately and retransmit the other one back to me so that I can be able to sign it before I go on holiday. Now, nobody's talking about representing it. All they are not talking about is veto or no veto. So they will start running about creating tension. My view and that of most people in opposition is that go back to the bill, remove the contentious side, send this one back to this one you have finished working on, send it back to the president so that you have no escape route not to sign it. Then we'll not come back to whether direct or indirect is the best for the country. The point is that it is wicked for us to continue the argument of direct or indirect, and the nation will lose the opportunity of having an electoral act that can allow us to have a transparent election. We are going to go to war in 2023 if this law is not signed, because you can't continue conducting election in the same way it had been conducted since 2015 to 2019. We must make an improvement, and the closest we have come to that improvement is this amendment to the electoral act. So let's not allow the argument for or against on the issue of direct or indirect, and let those governors, both in opposition and in a ruling government that is making this, one day you still leave office, you'll be confronted with this, mountain of that is being built here. You're gonna not win your election if this law is not put in place. So I'm begging them, let the lawmakers reconvene. Let them come back as fast as possible. First of all, step down the one that has to do with direct or indirect. Represent it back. When somebody is doing something funny, represent it back to him and let us see the excuse President Buhari is going to give us again for not signing. But if we don't sign this law, if these results cannot be translated from pulling unit to the center, I think 2023 will be just waste of time.
I think okay. What as an opposition party, do you think you have done well in 2021?
Well, as long as I'm concerned, most people in our opposition don't agree. But I would say that the opposition lawmakers, who are supposed to be the symbol of credible opposition in any opposition setting all over the world, with all due respect, except one or two individuals, majority have failed. Some are actually even in bed with the president, especially when it has to do with what is happening in the parliament. Because if opposition lawmakers have been able to group themselves, have been very aggressive, have been very articulate in confronting every step of impunity by the APC regime, including walkout during parliamentary sessions if they feel the wrong thing is being done, I believe the way we slided into this nonsense we're having today will not have been a situation. You see opposition in South Africa, you see opposition in America, you see opposition in UK, you see how aggressive they are. But ask me, apart from one or two, I don't want to mention one or two, three individuals that we know that are vocal, that try to speak up at from time to time. Where is the majority of the over 120 rep members of the opposition in the House of Rep? How come most of them are working for Bajaber Miller, running errands like him? It's so painful, and maybe people will disagree with me for saying this, but I can say that he pains my heart and the heart of most members of the opposition. Even in the Senate, they concur with everything Ahmed Lawan doing, including when even you do a vote and you see that people that is against has majority, the man will still rule the other way. And lawmakers from opposition doesn't stage a walkout. You don't need to be seen to be their poster boy by keeping quiet. You challenge them, you speak up against it, or you even walk out. If the president is not doing what is right, on the day of his budget presentation, opposition lawmakers can walk out to draw national attention to the fact that the man is not doing well. So as long as I'm concerned, they have not done well. There's a few governors in opposition who are vocal and few lawmakers. They're not even up to 10. Where is the over 120? And that is why we are so speaking to the party leadership. You don't go out continue giving your ticket to people who think that political party platform is an opportunity to get to office and start chasing barbing clipper and sewing machine for their constituents. That is not the job of a lawmaker. If opposition lawmakers has confronted the APC effectively the way it's supposed to be, I can tell you today that some of the things happening will not happen, because that will give courage and energy to people in the grassroots to move. Right now, nobody is giving them that courage and energy, except pockets of oppositions from few individuals, and that is not enough. It's supposed to be as a group. They're supposed to come as a group and be able to confront them, and that is not. We're not getting that, and that is why the president seems to have conquered everybody, both in the judiciary, both in the parliament, and that is why you can look at the wickedness the president carried out by that letter. Let me tell you. If you know that you are not going to sign this electoral act, by virtue of the fact that you say you don't agree with direct primary, you waited. The president waited till the expiration of 30 days. That can be a leader that, to me, that exhibits high level of political wickedness. Because if you knew that you withheld your signature when Parliament was still in session, you could have told them after a week or 2 weeks that I cannot sign because this direct primary is not going to favor the country. So the parliamentarians could have looked at it while they were still in session and either they amended it and said, he waited for Christmas to come, he waited for lawmakers to shut down sitting, and then he now say, well, I cannot be able to sign it. Does that show a leader that has the interest of the country at heart? Does that show you a leader who suffered so much for 3-4 times in an attempt to be president because of the electoral system was not perfect? Is he paying back to that system that produced him? And I said that what he's doing in Nigeria even deserves it, because you have seen a man who has no intention to enhance the electoral process. You have seen a man who has no intention to enhance rule of law. You have seen a man who has no intention to enhance the security situation in the country. But again, you elected lawmakers who goes to the parliament singing hallelujah for them. Like the one that is representing my fellow constituents. Tomorrow you say you want to represent your people. What are you doing about the issue of electoral, about the issue of insecurity, about the issue of killings, about the issue of marginalization? A lawmaker, your job is to make law and checkmate. That is what we are taught in primary school. But as long as I'm concerned, Buhari was able to visit all his impunities on the country because he had what is called a politically dead parliament. If the parliament had been allowed to their responsibility, they would have checkmated him. Because by supporting the president, people say you support the president so that he will bring good governance for the country, right? Now, Buhari has been supported for close to 7 years, right? With no single opposition from the lawmaker. Has he delivered on security? Has he delivered on the economy? So you can see that these things are babash talk. This is an excuse for men who does not have the balls to do their job, to keep getting away with it. So it is the people I'm blaming. It is the kind of lawmakers you elected. They are the kind of lawmakers who will keep a bad president in office like Buhari is. And as long as I'm concerned, nothing will improve unless the lawmakers sit up to confront the president and ensure that his oath of office is fully executed, ensuring good governance. And if he cannot do the job like we always say, you remove him. Why do we keep saying remove the president? Removing the president does not solve our problem completely, but it's a way of setting standard. National standard, that when a leader rises up and refuses to do what he's elected to do, that the people have a right through their parliamentarians to teach him a lesson. But here we're not teaching that lesson, meaning that Buhari has set the standard of governance. So the next president, his achievement can be working the way Buhari is working, and I can bet you that he will not achieve anything. This country is going to explode. It's only a matter of time. You can't run this country based on this injustice that is piling up, economic crisis, poverty that is rising, insecurity. Your bandits are now mounting roadblock, and people are killing people left, right, and center, and you open your mouth and you say you are commander-in-chief. What kind of commander-in-chief here? You forgot that under Section 14 of the Constitution, the job of a commander-in-chief is clearly defined. That section said that the primary responsibility of a president or a government is protection of lives and property. How dare you call yourself a commander-in-chief when you cannot live to your oath of office? No, it is the lawmakers who has refused to impeach him for failing short of the requirements of the law, for refusing to carry out his oath of office, which is to protect lives and property. Every day you keep apologizing. Every day you keep saying security agencies, I'll give you marching orders. Give marching orders. For 7 years you keep giving marching orders. For 7 years you keep making comments that are very divisive. Now it has come to having credible election for the country. This man has run away again and refused to sign the law, and the people are there for and against. All this for and against are stupid arguments by men who their real intention is to ensure that the electronic transmission of results from the polling unit does not see the light of the day. This is all about. If not, direct primary or indirect, APC have been using direct and indirect. PDP have been using direct and indirect. So direct and indirect is not a new thing in our electoral system, and none of them is perfect. They have been using the same system to manipulate the electoral process. But what we are asking for, leave that argument aside and then sign the electoral act, and then more importantly, allow electronic transmission of results from the polling unit, which is what the president and the APC governors are running away from, because they know that once result is transferred from polling unit, manipulation will be reduced. So I'm begging the lawmakers, I'm begging the president, let's just believe that your interest is that direct primary will bring so much confusion or bring so much expenses. Okay, we will not believe you. But if you're honest with the Nigerian people, will go back and rework the law and transmit it back so that latest by January you can sign it and we can go to election with result being transmitted from the polling unit and electronic accreditation, a constitutional issue. So that those who lost the election can go to court and be able to assess the evidence needed to prosecute their case. Or else he will give us a legacy of it's going to be a legacy of shame and disgrace. Thank you.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.